Good afternoon to all present here today. I, Shreyas Raj, welcome you all to the National Symposium and Declaration of Results for the 11th edition of Legislative Drafting Competition, Conficiendis Legislativa. We, the Moot Court Society of SVKM's Praveen Gandhi College of Law, conducted our 11th National Legislative Drafting Competition with the aim of giving an opportunity to the students across India to draft a bill and to experience the nuances borne by the legislature. Conficiendis Legislativa provides a platform to the students pan-India to step into the shoes of the lawmakers, as they are the to-be torchbearers of the legal fraternity. This is a unique competition, as drafting is one of the most crucial aspects which holds the cardinal and essence in a lawyer's journey. Therefore, through this competition, we encourage the students to enhance their drafting skills. The theme for the symposium is Regulation on the Uses of Artificial Intelligence, and our esteemed panelists for the day are Advocate Lubna Yusuf, Mr. Pinaki, and Advocate Puneet Bhasin. Before moving ahead, I would request all the attendees to kindly keep their mics on mute throughout the session and to mention all their questions in the chat box, which would be addressed during the question and answer session. Now, I'd like to invite Ms. 𝗵𝗶𝘃𝗃 to give a brief background on the regulations of artificial intelligence.
Good afternoon to the August gathering. I'll be sharing a snippet on why a regulation on artificial intelligence is crucial in India. Artificial intelligence is a phrase coined by John McCarthy, the father of artificial intelligence. The Oxford Dictionary defines artificial intelligence as the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks normally requiring human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation between languages. Simply described, artificial intelligence is a vast discipline of computer science whose purpose is to develop systems that can operate autonomously and intelligently. As a result, artificial intelligence is a system that has the capability and ability to solve problems that we humans would normally solve using our natural intelligence. To elaborate further, the goal of artificial intelligence development is to meet the need for and desire for automation in today's fast-paced human lives. Artificial intelligence is currently being used to do mundane or even difficult tasks. In the current global paradigm, artificial intelligence brings opportunities for business and for society to transform and spur innovation across industries and governments. However, it is also true that artificial intelligence has given ear to the fears associated with computers arriving at conclusions on their own, capturing our data, and even learning from it. These issues may need to be addressed earlier rather than later, as AI impinges not only on the way we do things, how we relate to others, but also on what we know about ourselves. Now is the moment for AI to enter the legal profession. On one hand, evolving regulatory frameworks on AI will significantly impact our ability to use the technology. While on the other hand, with the new laws and proposals still evolving, companies would be left in a precarious situation to determine what to do and what not to do. It is not disputed that AI is here to stay, but it is a must that artificial intelligence is made to adhere to beneficence, lucidity, accountability, and congruence to universal social values through well thought out, analyzed, and deliberated upon regulations. The legal profession is fairly conventional and its approach and hesitant to adopt new technologies. It's time for us to accept that artificial intelligence has the potential to transform the way lawyers currently work and the way law is reviewed in India. As stated by Justice 𝗍𝗫𝗀𝘀𝘀, technology is relevant insofar as it fosters efficiency, transparency, and objectivity in public government. AI is present to provide a facilitative tool to judges in order to recheck or evaluate the work, the process, and the judgments. It is with this thought that we arrived at this topic as the theme for the 11th Conficiendis Legislativa National Legislative Drafting Competition 2020. And as 𝗏𝗏𝗴𝗏 has said, restoring responsibility and accountability is essential to the economic and fiscal health of our nation. And if I may add, to the protect the rights of the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you for the detailed introduction. Now, I request our principal, Dr. 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃, to kindly say a few words. Ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, you are on mute. Yeah.
I've not been able to. Yeah. Audible and visible, clear enough? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Perfectly.
Hello. A good afternoon to one and all present here. In the beginning, I would like to thank the esteemed panelists for taking out time and being part of the panel discussion. As my student coordinator has already pointed out, the objective of conducting this kind of an competition is to provide a platform for the students to hone their drafting skill, and we are very proud to share with the esteemed gathering that this is the 11th edition and which has been conducted annually by our college. It's one of our flagship event. I congratulate the 𝗏𝗂𝗊𝗀 Society with and the faculty coordinator Dr. 𝗏𝗂𝗂𝗃𝗀𝗃 for successfully conducting this year event also. With my limited knowledge of artificial intelligence, I just want to share a couple of my observations on the regulation, because the topic this time was regulating the use of AI, artificial intelligence. So I have very limited knowledge. In the beginning only, I want to make it clear. However, on the basis of whatever I understood, whatever my experience of using artificial intelligence, I just want to share a couple of my thoughts on it. And I'm sure the esteemed panelists, while doing the discussion, will be able to throw more light on it. Like student coordinator and the host has pointed out, artificial intelligence is machine intelligence. Now the question is, can machines replace human intelligence? Artificial intelligence, or can machine intelligence replace human intelligence? The threat to human labor started way back in Industrial Revolution. When the Industrial Revolution started, a fear was created, a kind of a fear was created that machines will replace human labor. We have gone through that stage, and now we have, in the 21st century, we have come to a stage where there's a question about artificial intelligence giving a competition to human intelligence. So now the question is that we have to regulate the use of artificial intelligence. There are kind of issues that has been observed over a period of time. The frequent use of artificial intelligence, like all of us are used to like, some kind of an artificial intelligence in our day-to-day life, whether we are making use of the mobile phone to use the mobile phone to unlock the mobile phone, the face recognition, or the personal assistance that in the form of Alexa we have. All these things we are experiencing. Now the question is that how do you go about regulating this artificial intelligence? At present, like there is whatever mechanisms are there for data protection, market protection, consumer protection, all that has been used for regulating artificial intelligence. No specific regulation either on the international level is not yet developed. Only last year UNESCO has come up with an ethical framework for the use of artificial intelligence, and I want to share that when UNESCO came up with this ethical framework on the use of AI, the concern was sustainable development goal. Like, machines can never replace human beings, we need development, but it should be human centered, not the other way around. So this kind of a development makes it clear the need for having a kind of a regulatory framework for artificial intelligence. I will not reflect on it much. And over the panel discussion, panelists, the experts will be able to throw more light on this issue. With this, I will ask the student coordinator to go ahead with the rest of the proceedings. Thank you, Suresh. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your words. I would now request Ms. Drishti Khatri to kindly introduce our panelist, Advocate Lubna Yusuf.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is my absolute privilege to introduce our first panelist for the day, Advocate Lubna Yusuf. Advocate Yusuf graduated from National Law School of India University and has worked with PXV Law Partners as a legal consultant. Ma'am is the founder of La Legal, CEO and co-founder of 𝗏𝘁𝗶𝑐𝑖 Innovation Lab. She is the co-author of the Artificial Intelligence book on FinTech published by 𝗏𝗏𝗃 Publications. Her book, 𝗏𝗏𝗃𝗃 is a bestseller haiku book on poetry and illustrations. She read creative writing at Oxford University, and her articles on artificial intelligence, law, privacy, and ethics in deep tech are published in various corporate magazines and legal journals. Ma'am is the recipient of Legal Writers Award 2019 by Legal Service India for her journal on film and media laws. She was a finalist for the Women in Tech Awards at WTF Chicago in Intelligence and Automation for her role as design strategist and legal tech expert for India's first autonomous car system. Ma'am is also a visiting faculty of IPR and Media Laws at NIMS School of Design. She is also a mentor of change for Atal Innovation Mission NITI Ayog, Government of India, an artificial intelligence legal tech expert and an educator. Now, I request Ma'am to address the gathering and share her experiences and insights on artificial intelligence and law, a close interface.
Thank you so much for the introduction. And I am, first of all, really happy and very pleased to be a part of this symposium and to discuss this very relevant topic of artificial intelligence and law, because this is the time where we actually have no regulations, we do not have, precedents to look at, and we are going through a dynamic change in our life and the way we perceive, the way we function, and the way we, are guarding our data, as well as all of humanity is going through a digitalization, if I might say. So this is a kind of a social and technological revolution that we are experiencing. And here we are at this juncture where artificial intelligence, whether we like it or not, is going to be a huge part of our everyday living, and it is going to seamlessly interfere as well as amalgamate with our everyday living. And that's when all the social sciences, the political sciences, the economics, as well as law play a large role. And that is why it's so important and so relevant to discuss artificial intelligence and law, the interface. So today I am going to have a very brief discussion, or I can share certain points and certain thoughts on how AI and law can, work together, and how they are co-dependent, and how we as future lawyers or future lawmakers and future experiencers of AI can, responsibly take part in this development. So, like with any invention or with any change, comes later a responsibility, a social responsibility, an ethical responsibility, as well as a legal responsibility to regulate any new system which is introduced into our world. So right now we are going through a digitalization. We are already using AI. We are already using tools of machine learning, whether we like it or not. It is already a huge part of our life, with our phones, with the way we watch television, with the way we function our everyday activity, the way we book a cab. Everywhere our data is being read, is processed. It's already a part of our life. But what is lacking hugely is a regulatory or organization or a regulatory mechanism or a system to control and govern these data, as well as machine learning, as well as what we largely call as artificial intelligence. So what is artificial intelligence? Very briefly, we can understand is it's nothing but a system of automation. We globally have not yet reached the stage of robotics and what exactly we've been seeing in films, what is called the robots taking over the world as artificial intelligence. But no, we are in the process, and we are right now in the automation phase, where we, through the process of deep learning, we have created certain machines or systems through which data is being fed, and that machine is then being intelligent on its own and doing some work for us and making things faster for us. And thereby, whenever a machine or a third party or a mechanism is doing some work for us, the question of legality arises. What happens to any responsibilities or the liabilities when there is any kind of a loss or any kind of a problem that the machine may cause to the normal people. So we can very clearly say that AI can solve our questions, our problems, but today we want to understand who is going to solve the problems of AI. Okay, so we are subjected constantly without our choice. Our privacy has been invaded and we have no option. We cannot exit this world. We are already a part of this ecosystem, which is largely dependent on artificial intelligence, on machines, on electricity, on technology, on the way we function. Today, we cannot leave the country without a digital footprint. We are being followed. It is for our good as well as for our safety. But at the same time, where is our privacy being compromised? How are we going to regulate this interference is the challenge, as well as a very important aspect of law, because till now we have different systems of legal boundaries where we can manage and control our internal affairs. But when it comes to artificial intelligence and machines, we are a part of the digital world, which is the internet. And internet technically has no border. So we are talking about a virtual bank, which is borderless. And here we are discussing, or we want to understand how to control and regulate the laws of this borderless entity. And that is where the challenge, as well as our main focus should be, that we should look forward towards a global code of conduct or a global regulatory authority to actually manage and implement our laws which are based on artificial intelligence, because we cannot afford to do away with or control only our artificial intelligence, because technically there cannot be a term like that it is mine and yours, because it's already global, it is already borderless. So the grave questions about legality, ethics, privacy, and liabilities are the main concerns which artificial intelligence or the systems which are regulated by artificial intelligence have brought to us. Because data and its usage, its transfer, as well as its storage is infinite, as well as it's borderless. And most of us who are laymen or who are not we very well versed with science and development, we are, whether we like it or not, a part of this system. Our data is being used and we are using data. So is the problem, and so is the main concern with lawmakers as well, the policy makers as well. Because we as policy makers, we do not understand the deep intricacies of AI and their functioning. And that is why the regulations which are going to be drafted or which are being drafted, or the bills which are being presented globally, or the discussions that we are having are so complex as well. They need to be complex, as well as a huge a group of experts, both from legal field as well as from the scientific field, need to converge together and bring about a social responsible code of conduct and draft this kind of bill or a law, which is not only relevant to any particular country or zone, but it is globally acceptable and relevant, because that is the only way in the long run that this kind of crisis or this kind of a complication can be solved, and it can be socially responsible usage of socially responsible usage of AI is very important. Because the future which awaits us is a human and AI interface, because we are hugely interdependent with the usage of our phone today, and all the systems that control the electricity, the way our biometrics are functioning, the way our medicines are given to us, the way our medicines are being manufactured. If you look at it intricately, and if you get up in the morning and you see your day starts with data and ends with data. Today, we cannot say that I will go to the mountains and live in the mountains and not be a part of this world, because it's humanly now impossible to live a life where you are not being monitored or looked at or traced, or not dependent on some kind of a machine at any point of time, be it hospitals, be it entertainment, be it your daily functioning, you're going to the movies, you're eating, deciding what to eat on your app. The app will suggest according to your location. The AI already decides for us before we can decide for ourselves. And that is a very important statement to ponder upon as humans, because we are always looking at the argument, are we going to be ruled by artificial intelligence? Are we going to be ruled by machines like the way they see this show us in the movies? Yes and no. Yes, in a way we are being manipulated, or we are being influenced. You know, in this era of social influencers, the biggest influencer right now is the data-driven AI. AI is today, or machine learning is today, the biggest influencer, which not directly but indirectly influences and traces all our habits, all our behavior patterns, and it's always suggesting. Like people say that even if after you switch off your phone, the GPS is still tracking. We are using GPS enabled devices, and when we switch on any app, be it any social networking site, even your emails, even your drives, the clouds, all the data that we have, everything is available in a third world, untouchable, in virtual system. And the questions also arise when it is very interesting to know what happens to your data when you die. Who inherits? The question of inheritance, the question of control, the question here arises the question of privacy. Also, it's important to know that this kind of data cannot really be deleted or become obsolete, and what will happen if this data is leaked. And today that we saw a huge crisis of the COVID with a 8 kb virus. So it's like an 8 kb size of the coronavirus. So can you imagine if there is in the future a digital world war, which I feel is a part of definitely going to come to us one day, because there is nothing more powerful than data today. So if you can imagine a virus creating such a havoc in our lives, what is going to happen when, God forbid, Google or huge corporations who have our data with us actually lose their data, or they declare a war through data. Our bank accounts, our medical records, our biometrics, our eyes, our digital footprints, everything is a part of an ecosystem, and somebody or the other actually owns it. And who are we going to approach legally if the time comes when our data is breached? So this is something to think about. This is something to act upon, and this is something to actually make regulations on, so that there has to be an answer to the responsibilities. Somebody has to be held liable. Somebody has to take the onus of this humongous, so to say, monster that we have created, and we cannot brush away with the implications that the data or the artificial intelligence has created or set for us. So we need to, in a way, kind of reinvent the way we invent. Because if you look at the senses, if you look at the sensory organ, we are human beings. So the very word artificial intelligence, what does it say? It is artificial. It's not real. It's intelligence, but it's artificial. So what separates or what distinguishes us from artificial intelligence itself is going to be our power, should be our power, and should be the benchmark on which we need to create the regulations. We cannot allow, or we should not allow, a system created by us to actually maneuver us or to do our work all the time, because we are going to lose our cognitive abilities, the ability to think, to reason, to learn, to smell, to make our own decisions. These are the things which make us human. Now, if we transfer all these duties to a machine to do our work, the next generation will be so dependent or so reliant on the machine to do the work that slowly, through evolution, we will lose the impact of our cognition, our skills, which makes us human. And that is the challenge that we as users as well as creators of artificial intelligence need to understand as well as be aware of, and we need to maneuver this kind of usage very carefully. And we as lawmakers, we need to make policies or understand or apply the principles of our contract laws or our constitutions or our already existing laws in such a way that this new entity that has been created does not or should not be allowed to interfere with our normal cognition, with our privacy, with the way we function as humans, so that it does not supersede our power. We have to not allow this system to go beyond the power that it should be allowed to. And that is the huge challenge, because that is the border and that is the fine line which separates us from AI. Because we have the cognitive abilities or the human senses of sight, of smell, of touch, of hearing. And the AI decides for us which song we should be hearing next, what are our likes in food, because we are given the preferences. When we take a picture, the AI gives us a filter automatically. It makes us, into something that we are not, maybe gives away our blemishes. So in the long run, it's constantly influencing us in every little tiny thing that we are doing in our life. And now we've already seen today the advent of the driverless car systems, where we don't even need a driver. So this question also was being hugely debated, that what will happen if the machines take over? Then who will become jobless? Will everybody become unemployed? Then what will happen to the people who are doing the job? If the machine is doing the job efficiently, then who's going to hire humans? So this is the way, these are the challenges as well as the questions which are, put forth to us. We have some sci-fi movies that we have seen where the robo armies are built, and somehow there is a fight between the man and the machine, and we don't know whom to approach when there is a fault of the machine or the owner of the machine or the creator of the machine. So whether the principle of vicarious liability will really hold true in these cases are also an interesting question of law that we can ponder upon. And I would want to also, discuss with the students that with the advent of artificial intelligence, we are allowing our data to be used by, say, a specific XYZ corporation. So are we being compensated? Now, do we have a contract with them? First of all, do they have the authority to use our data? Just giving us that tick and accept button in the mobile or the app, and we're letting them use it. But they are making money, humongous amount of money and profits, and generating millions of revenues from our data. So is that, or should that be a part of our earning and income as well? Can we ask them to give a share of their profit and revenue to us? So in future, this is also going to be a part of our economic system, where there is going to be data banks. Okay, like there is the blood bank today. We have biomedical banks. We have the finance, the money bank. We have cryptocurrency. So in the similar way, we are going to have data banks in future, where we as manufacturers or producers of data are going to give our data to these companies for a certain share of profits or a percentage or a share, and then we are going to monetize that data and be a part of this system. So this is a part of the future digital world that is going to be presented to us. And so we are going to have several numerous challenges, as you can understand, being law students, that we are completely, right now, we don't have any legal regulations using the word AI. But what we are doing slightly, we are trying to maybe include it in our bill or include it in our common practice, that with information technology or with the way the revolution had come with IT. So now we are in the millennium, in this century. Now we are going to decide and discuss and decipher for ourselves the coinage of the term AI, and draft and propose the bills, as well as regulate and control a global code of conduct for artificial intelligence, and create a social and ethical model for our privacy, for our usage, for our interference and liability. Because these are the terms, or these are the the main challenges that we are going to face, because we are already, like I said, a part of this very digital world, whether we like it or not. And I think to sum it up, I can say that we as humans, we need to think rationally and live consciously, and we interact emotionally. And these are the things which, no matter how advanced an AI system we can generate, or a machine learning system that we can create, we cannot replace emotions. We cannot replace our cognitive abilities. Okay, like Darwin's theory of evolution says the survival of the fittest, and the one reason that the monkeys couldn't evolve further was because we developed the opposable thumbs, and they couldn't. In the same way, in the longer period of genetic evolution, we cannot lose our cognitive abilities and lose a part of our species, the development that we have till now. And that is what is going to separate our emotions, and our cognition is what is going to separate us from machines, no matter how smart, how powerful, how non-disruptive we create them to be. So we need to gain control over our machines, and obviously we cannot and should not let the reverse happen and control machines to control us. And we cannot stop evolving, we cannot stop learning, and we cannot stop being responsible. And that is the lamp which we need to pass on to the next generation, who's actually born in this era of AI. Already they are born, and the next day they are using all the digital interferences. So we have been privileged because we've seen both sides of the world, a non-digital world and a digital world. And our parents have seen a non-mobile world and a mobile world. And similarly, we are going to have this kind of an experience where we pass on to the banter to the next generation of then seeing the AI world, and we actually passing on the regulations of AI to them. So we need to create a balance. We need to understand the workings, and we need to also upgrade ourselves constantly, and never forget the ethics involved. You know, the scientists at this point of time, and the people who are making these gadgets and devices, and the manufacturers of these organizations, or people who are getting the data of these organizations, have to act very responsibly. And the government has to be very aware and very upgraded upon the technologies that are being worked on, and the way they are manufacturing all these devices. That is the only way that we can actually be able to regulate or get some kind of a liability or some kind of a damage or a compensation from the authorities when something goes wrong. So in this way, I kind of conclude my little thoughts that I had on how AI and law are on a digital interface. And now I would want the students to please ask me some questions that we may have. And I hope that I could, bring a little light into how we are already a part of the AI world.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for the AI and law closed interface perspective and your personal experience. Now we are open to the Q&A session. So, ma'am, the first question we have here is, like, since there are so many new applications coming up and automating the whole arbitration process, so what is your take on using the AI for arbitration proceedings?
Yes, so my take on using AI for artificial intelligence or for any proceeding for that matter is it has to be still regulated and controlled by one or some human interference at some point. Because first, why? Because we have not yet reached that stage where we can let the machines do reasoning for us, which is going to impart justice. Because here we are as humans of the human civilization, and we need reasoning just to impart justice. And also, it is a very cultural system that we are a part of. Like what may or may not be correct, so to say, in one country may or may not be correct in the other country. Same way, our AI systems have not really evolved to give a complete, judgment on something as sensitive a topic as a personal or a conscious, decision on somebody's life. So we can have a preliminary system where, the paperwork or the general normal arbitrary work is done, and we can save a lot of time with that, so we can use AI very positively. And finally, at a very final level, we would need the judgment or the better judgment of humans to be a part of the system. So right now, I think there should be a codependence where we can do away with the menial work and give it to the automated systems, and then use it to, save our time, and then we can, do the arbitration in a very seamless manner. So we need to also educate and upgrade ourselves, because suddenly we cannot expect judges or everybody in the system to be technologically advanced also. So we need to be very practical in our approach, rather than just being, dependent blindly on some new system which has come. So we should all just do it. It's not some experiment that we are doing. We cannot afford to lose the common sense.
Yeah, thank you very much, ma'am, for the insight. Ma'am, the second question we have is that can the future of contract law be solely on the artificial intelligence in the near future?
In a way, we can predict that contract law may be dependent on artificial intelligence for resolution, because contract law is more fairly very mathematical in its approach. But at the same time, when it comes to arguments or the providing of evidence or the documentations and all the other things which may need a human interference, we might still need a level of human interference. But yes, contract law can hugely benefit from digitalization and AI tools, and make things easier. Basically, if you are very clear about your contract terms, you can just sign it digitally. The AI you can feed to your system what you need. They can generate a contract. They can pay the stamp duties. Everything can be seamlessly done, and I think it is a good and a positive way to, positive part of law that can, be benefited from AI.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Due to time constraint, that would be our last question. Thank you so much. I'm sure the attendees would have gained a lot of knowledge, ma'am. Ma'am, please stay back for a picture.
I'm on the count of 3. I'll take the picture. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All the best for the next session and for your symposium. I'll stay back and hear your discussions further. Thank you, ma'am, for having me, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Next, I would like to call upon Ms. Rachna Verma to introduce our next panelist, Mr. Pinaki Laskar.
Good afternoon, everyone. I take immense pleasure in introducing our second panelist for the day, Mr. Pinaki Laskar. Sir is an artificial intelligence researcher, inventor, futurist speaker, XI author, thought leader, spatial computing savant, and next-gen mentor. He has been a founding brain for many disruptive AI solutions, ranging from autonomous car, intelligent transport systems, etc. Sir is a visionary who is transforming tech into an art and business. Sir is the inceptive mind and founder of 𝗏𝘁𝗶𝘃𝗀, an AI alchemist and cognitive technologist. He is a disruptive innovator who has been the founding brain for many disruptive AI solutions that range from autonomous cars, intelligent transport systems, to AI-based music and healthcare. Sir is also an expert and distinguished inventor in artificial intelligence and IIoT with research in artificial intelligence and ethics. As a thought leader with a work experience of 2 decades, Sir has been a speaker at various conferences across the world, including Make in India, TIE, Neural Networks Conference Finland, Artificial Intelligence International Conference, etc. Node XL has listed Sir as one of the top 10 influencers of self-driving cars and data scientists in the world, and Thinker360 has recognized him in the top 20 global thought leaders and influencers on autonomous vehicles. Sir, it is an honor to have you with us today. I would now like to call upon Pinaki sir to address the participants and begin with the discussion on how to regulate artificial intelligence in the right way with the state of AI and ethical issues. Thank you so much. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Rachna, for great introductions. I don't know how much I can contribute to your this event, and I'll try my best. And good afternoon, everybody. And I'll try to make you a reasonable understanding about the AI technology and how the regulations, what is the future, and how you can learn a lot of things on the AI in the coming days. And last, you have already have different combination of words related to AI, like artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, neural network. These words you are already know, and you know how, like what exactly the word means. Now I'll try to explain with the legality and the regulations, as well as working on the principle of AI. So commonly you said there is a tagline like artificial intelligence and machine learning. These 2 words you will always come together, but these 2 words are not same. These are 2 different things. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is not the same thing. Number 1. Number 2, you say that you have already heard about the machine learning or artificial intelligence mimicking human brain or human neural network. This is also a wrong terms, that artificial intelligence is nothing related to human mimicking brain. Number 3 is that you said artificial intelligence, the words generally we commonly we work on that AI is unbiased, or artificial is unbiased, or you know the AI knows everything. These are the words generally common, and you are generally having a lot of conversation across the domain you have seen. Now you may think that the AI and machine learning and these regulations and laws are like how to protect this, how to protect human being, how to put data. These are a lot of questions in your mind, and they are all creating confusion of you how this technology works and what is this technology and why we are talking so much about AI. Let's start with a very simple terms with AI. AI is a GPT, general purpose technology. It is not like the other technology we generally used. You know what is general purpose technology? General purpose technology is like electricity, steam engine, like it used for across domain, across the area, across the society, across the world, every aspects of life. So general purpose technology or normal technology like other you say Wi-Fi or technology like augmented reality, or you say there are difference between this general purpose technology and a normal technology. General purpose technology is a transdisciplinary technology. What is transdisciplinary? Transdisciplinary means it is multiple, it is not about software, it is not about hardware. It is including culture, art, philosophy, science, and the human being, object, everything is included over this. So AI is a broader term. It includes everything in the world. It's a real world technology where human and interacting with the object, this technology enhances that. Machine learning is a subset of that. That means it works on some databases, on a training, and then come to a predictions or decision model. So these two terms are widely used in a very common sense, but these are not at all same, because you need to understand these two words first before understand the legalities on that. A regulation of that. First of all, regulation of AI is not easy job, because it is not a program, or it is not a code that you can regulate by something. It is a training method which has three different aspects in that training. What we can regulate in terms of regulation, we can regulate the process. Even as per my opinion, it should be on an industry base, not only a process based to across industry, because every industry has a different prospect of using AI, like a healthcare or automotive. Automotive, the safety is the main major focus on that. In healthcare is or in other like in e-commerce system, it is safety is not the recommendation. Like in a recommendation, safety is not the main priority. Over there is the decision making is the priority. So every industry, every aspect is different. So regulation should be in terms of industry wise. As I talk, the four processes need to be regulated. If you think about the regulations of AI, first is data. That means where the data comes and what type of data is used to train the machine learning or AI, or you say the entire system of AI ecosystem. That means the data which was coming from like corporate sectors, it coming from open source, it coming from government organizations, because data itself has a lot of bias inbuilt and it is governed by some human being. So data source is very important for checking the regulation of artificial intelligence. If you are coming across on the regulatory part, first thing you need to think, where is the data coming from and how data is used, or what type of data is used over there. Number two, the process, like how data is trained. So data training, there are models created by a programmer which was trained by this data to get the output. And this training is very important part of regulations of AI, because here you need to understand how the training is happening so that you can regulate or understand the process of getting output. But why you need to know this? Because the problem is that AI is trying to solve some problem. He is giving a decision making output. He is giving a perceptions or understanding human communications. These are the four major processes happening currently. So to make this type of understanding, you need to understand the process of the AI, how data and the process at their training model is working, and then the output is there to make you understand that how the output comes. If these are not understood by each and every stakeholder of the AI system, that means user, developer, companies, and the governance, everybody had to understand all the part of the system so that you can regulate or you can have a better use of the system. Now come to why you need to do a regulation. Why we need certainly talk about especially AI had to be regulated. Where he is trying to solve a decision making, a recommendation system is giving like a problem solving methodology. But why you need to regulate? Because it has a artificial intelligence inside, and anything need to be regulated when it has an impact on us. Impact in terms of it impacts on our life, or the number two is if it is impacted in your life, then have to accountable for this. So something to be accountability is there. So that is why you need to like regulate this system. Well, how I'm giving an example. Like if you see biometric system in surveillance, right? You are using a biometric data anywhere. If you see you are giving a biometric like inputs for your Aadhaar card or somewhere, right? But this data processing, and this is you don't know how it is happening and what is doing. You just place this, the data was accessed by everybody, and then it goes to a decision making system. So there, this system is accountable because he is using a mass surveillance on your biometric data. So somebody has to be accountable on that because it can have an impact on your life. So here you need to regulate the system. And again, for regulating the system, I need to understand where the data is coming, how data is used, and where it is going to be used. Most of the any of the regulation was like impact on the like three factors generally in anywhere in the world. The three factor is there's the action. What are the action it was happened, right? And number two is what are the mindset during the actions and where it was happened. But this is not the formulation of the theory or the principle for AI. There should be a different mindset or think process to get AI regulations, because in the way general principle or theory of getting the regulation done, AI cannot be regulated because the process was not governed by human being. It is processed by like data sets which was important, and they are after the learning process, how a system learns himself. I just giving a small example of AI system learning method. One is like a human being will go to schools, and then after 10 to 15 years we study. After that we go to work and then learn again through the experience, and before that it is learned by example, like when you study in a college. And similarly, the AI system also work by example and by experience. By example means when we train the system, that is by example. But when it comes live, that time it was learned by experience. He learns himself and get accommodated with that system and with the environment and the real world. So here the challenge is that it is not controlled by somebody or something. It is controlled by himself. That is actually the AI. Email is not like that. Email is governed totally by the example, right? It was, but that is sort of example training by example. So it is based on the data. So AI, it's again, it need to be, it's a very nascent stage. Currently, if you have to regulate the AI's process, you need to regulate the process and the organizations, or you say the industry, not the or restriction should not be done on the AI programming or the AI algorithms, because it is in a nation stage. It is not coming to the world where the AI should work. It is in a start of only a machine learning process where the true artificial intelligence will come in some 5 to 10 years time, or more, maybe in a decade's time is needed for to get the AI to be mature enough, and then you process or regulate the artificial intelligence as a technology. Not before that. Before that, the technology should be like regulated in terms of a process or in terms of a organizations, or like what I said, or the governance in terms of how it is used, where it is used, and what to be used. Now coming to the point again that what AI should be, it should be a physical, right? Means currently, if you see a recommended system or the financial analysis, it was done through you and a human being. In between, there is a database. Like a financial recommendation system comes from a data sets. That means AI is between human and a database. If you are talking about a chatbot, so where it is, the chatbot is about between human being and an internet, and in between the AI is communicating with human being. Number 3, if you see a game like a chess game, where these are the common example which was seen that AI has defeated human beings and that. Here again, the human move on chessboard, it reflecting to algorithm of AI. So you see there is no direct communication with the AI. It is an interface. But if you think about a driverless car, where car drive himself, that means he is communicating more real world scenario. Here is not communicating with a in between of that. Here is the difference between the AI and ML part. So when autonomous car runs on the road, it doesn't need human interface. It runs its own, or driverless car on its own, and he take decision on the real world time, seeing the complex environment, road scenario, and human being and the object on the system. This whole system, it's a transdisciplinary AI actually. Now coming to part of the system of mechanism or the architecture or engineering of the AI. Now come to the part where AI need to be more effect on consciousness. That means the causality. This called, there is AI is causality is what between there is a relation between reason and actions, right? And that was defined as a causality. So if you see in terms of what we discussed, in the data was trained by like a machine learning was trained by a data, it is a correlation between the data and the training. But in causality is a relationship between reason and this action. The causality or causal AI, you say the causality is not yet defined properly in terms of AI. Till it is the causality cannot be defined, then in real world scenario or physical AI cannot be possible. That where AI is interacting real time or real world scenario, then it is needed to have a AI to communicate in real time and real world, not via something or not via the system it works. So you got that understanding of regulations of AI and how you can do the regulation in terms of process. If you think it is impractical to regulating like regulating AI system which is run on a laptop or in your system as a smartphone. Here you can regulate because it is not directly impacting the real world. Here regulations can be implemented in the form of current laws. But if you see what I said, that in a real world scenario, AI cannot be regulated like the way we do. So it have to be a different thinking process. I already told you about that. So how AI and the machine learning and how the regulation should be compatible and how should be regulated in terms of data training and other things. Now there are new problem statement will come. It's not about protecting the law from the human beings or not. You have already seen the AI is already creating a new way of competitions in the corporate world. That means it's dominating the competitions and shut down the companies. The regulation doesn't thinking about or the governance is not thinking about that process, which is a new way of like a commerce. If AI system is emerging as a new technology in terms of business aspects, he is dominating other players and shut down their companies, because the power of AI is more than human in some cases in current situations. Like if you want to see a financial analysis, in 100 years times data, AI can give you, or a machine learning can give in a seconds of time, human cannot do. Here, AI overpowering human beings. And when this power is implemented in a business, it ultimately giving a tough competition to the other business or organizations. So here is another part of a regulation need to be think that this system can dominate the others when it implemented in the real world, even in the current situation. Next is we can discuss the individually what is the solutions now, what I could do. So we have to give a differentiation between different tasks or different process or a different industry. We have to term it like a no risk or minimum risk industry, like where you get a recommendation system by any of the thing, like any of the web commerce or something. This is a no risk platform because it doesn't impact you as in your life, or that does not accountable something, because the decision making is with you. It is not taking his own decision. There is a no risk region over there. That is called high risk region. With high risk in the sense of autonomous driving, or you take autonomous weapon, where the machine takes its own decisions and it take what he will do. That is the high risk road, and that should be regulated in a different way. And there is no risk. That means there will be no way of doing anything. That means we should not allow that process in terms of that is not very high risk. That means it can be overpowered human being. If the system likes what I say over things like who has a social impact. That I'm giving you one example of like if machinery is making in a factory and the pollutions is happening and it affects the whole world. So that type of system, when engaged in a society, then it working beyond the like our goals, or you say that our sustainability. So in that type of cases, AI should not be used where it can impact our social life, culture, or like I'll just give. I don't want to give a biased example here. Let me. I'll tell you in between my conversation. Let me think. Like what are the great examples we should avoid? Like in terms of humanoid, right? If you say robot doctor, we should not, right? You cannot judge making a decision-making power to a robot doctor. This cannot be accepted. This is beyond acceptable the region of AI system. So as I said, so what are the things need to be regulated in that? Again, I'm just pointing out. First is that clear rules to the company, like how product and system should be used, how the data should be, where the data should come, how the data should be used in the system, and how the training was done. This should be explainable to each and every portion, user, company, as well as the governance. These three should be explainable and available to the system or everybody, so that he can understand how the AI works and he can take a decision on that, whether he will be going to use it or not, whether it will be applicable to the human society or not. Or as I said, the main part of this AI is the stakeholder is the consumer or the customer or the citizenship. they are the major stakeholder because the adaptation will take by them only. So you cannot ignore the citizenship role over AI. So how to regulating the AI, it should not affect the effort, the adaptedness or the trustable factor of the citizenship of the consumer. Otherwise, this technology will not grow in that sense. So taking into the account of the adaptability, the regulations part should be key point will be a citizen or the consumer of that particular system. And that is called human-centric AI. So if you're thinking as a AI in a system, it should be think as a human as a center, and then you develop everything around it. And the process or whatever the thing is, the regulations and the outcomes and the decision makings, everything should be in terms of in terms of AI. So three major things we need to look about as reliability, robustness, and accountability. These are the three major things we need to follow whenever you are judging a system on AI. So because these are the three major parameters to make that AI accessible as well as adaptable to the human, like a society of the human beings. So anything, the questions will come in terms of AI and these adaptations and the regulation in terms of even the technology aspect. I can discuss with the question answer session. I have just tried to give you explanation on what is possible here.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for giving us an insight.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir, for giving us an insight on artificial intelligence and ethical issues. It was truly an inspiration. Now we open to the question and answer session. So, sir, our first question here is, sir, according to you, how close are we to achieving artificial general intelligence?
So, in my opinion, artificial general intelligence will take around at least a 5 years time. At least 5 years time to get into general intelligence. As I said, casualty measurement is not yet proved. Like we couldn't until we go to the casual AI. Will not be able to raise to the general things. It is mostly in the symbolic or logical reasoning what is happening now. So in terms of when we crack the casualty and then we will be able to give the AGI, come into the AGI domain basically.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Sir, the second question we have here is, sir, according to you, who should be held responsible for artificial intelligence mistakes?
The responsibility, as I said, if you said a division of the four things, first is responsible is the regulator. Who is the regulating authority? They are responsible. Number two is that organizations who are implementing. Number three, the player who is developing the system. And number four, the total government. These are the four organizations which is in a part of the hierarchy, starting from the development to the governance. All are stakeholder responsible because everybody has his own role to deploy on it. And I already told you what the deployment stage and how it have to be done. So every stakeholder is responsible on that. And there should be a system that as a user, as a customer, I should be giving a complaint and I get a compensation on that system.
Okay, sir. Sir, the next question we have here is, like, according to you, will advances in artificial intelligence will make society better off or worse off, and will it affect the employment rates or not?
No, it is definitely it will be a very like I would say it augment human being life in a different way. See that I have told you in some already in some systems are overpowering in human being in terms of financial analysis, in terms of data analysis. The system is overpowering. So what it is giving, which I cannot do initially or the previously, I can use AI or ML to get that decision making faster. And it's a power to be. Like there will be a job displacement or the job loss in some sectors, but there will be new jobs also. They will create new job sets also. So it is not that it no way will be harmful to AI. But as I said, easy said everybody need to be accountable, right? Where the system will be, it should be accountable, and impact on that the user have to be measured. These are the 2 points you have to always taking care of that.
Thank you very much, sir, for the insight. The next question, sir, we have here is like, what do you see happening or being adopted in the terms of artificial intelligence by enterprise businesses in the near future?
What will be?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The future in terms of adaptability, you see the metaverse, you have already heard about that, right? Everybody is talking about. So we'll be creating a new world of virtual reality. So like you used to stay in a in a galaxy where there are different planet, and we are creating a new world, a new galaxy or of a metaverse where humans are created for that, and in that world that will be the major impact in the human lives. It's like how AI will enhance this system. This will be the major applications. It will be implemented very soon in the fastest way. Apart from small applications, this will be a bigger impact in the society and human life.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. The last question, sir, for this session we have is like, can you tell us like more about your company, that 𝗏𝘁𝗏𝘁, and how does it work?
See, we are generally, if you say the R&D of AI, ML, or computer vision company, right? We started with the image processing and computer visions, and later on we have started machine learning, then AI. So it is mostly on the R&D space. We do service work also, but we are coming with the autonomous domain, the product as a product of the company. Like as a product of a company will coming as an autonomous domain, like driverless car, flying cars. These are the sectors we are having our own product in coming days.
Thank you very much, sir, for answering all the questions. I request you to smile for a picture, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I took the picture. Thank you, Shreyash.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Let me tap speaker. We should wait 15 minutes. You all can wait, and we'll resume with the session at 3:30.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You're audible. Now, I would like to call upon Ms. 𝗏𝗁𝗏𝗂𝗏 to introduce our panelist, Advocate Puneet Bhasin.
Now we move on to the last panelist for the day. It is my absolute privilege to introduce Advocate Puneet Bhasin. Ma'am is a pioneer in technology laws in India and a cyber law expert practicing in Mumbai. A major part of her practice consists of cybercrime cases and data privacy compliance. Ma'am holds a post-graduation in cyber law and is a certified cybercrime investigator and also a certified privacy professional. Ma'am is the founder of 𝗏𝗿𝗀𝗀 Legal Consulting, a Mumbai-based firm specializing in technology, media, and entertainment laws. Among the first in India to lay the foundation of cyber laws and online entertainment laws. She is a forerunner of blockchain laws in India and the only advocate practicing in smart contracts, legal compliance, and legal compliance of blockchain application. She is an advisor to the Rajya Sabha Committee on Formulation of Internet Laws and Technology Laws in India. She forms a part of advisory committee to the Ministry of Electronics and Information on the new data protection framework to be adopted by the Government of India. In the recent times, ma'am has advised nationalized banks with whom she is empaneled on various legal aspects and implementation of cryptocurrency and blockchains. She has also advised many cryptocurrency startups and fintech companies on the nuances of technology laws in India. Ma'am focuses on skills and policy development for the Digital India movement. I would now like to invite ma'am and share her incredible depth of experience and expertise with our participants on artificial intelligence and legal liability.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to you now.
Thank you. Glad to address the audience of young minds. The subject I'm going to address is on artificial intelligence and legal liability. There is no PPT in this because I actually want the talk to be more, you could say, stimulating for you to go back and think about what legal aspects should be included in India in this. Now, obviously, the law with respect to artificial intelligence in India is a very, very nascent law. Internationally also, like first let's start, I think many of you, if you're not aware what is artificial intelligence, it's primarily a computer program or a code that is running in the backdrop of multiple applications. So for example, today when you visit any particular shopping website online, there is AI at the backdrop that is actually determining what are your choices. They're showing you relevant products. So, you know, the kind of tracking of human behavior that is happening over the internet today on multiple applications, we don't even realize it, but we are all being subject to artificial intelligence. So these are some of the real world examples of artificial intelligence where, you know, you are exposed to it at every point of time. You are unaware that, okay, this is running in the background. A lot of banking functions are also happening using artificial intelligence today. Now, what is the legal framework regulating artificial intelligence? Right now in India, we don't have an explicit framework, or you could say a law separately with respect to artificial intelligence. So when we talk about applications which are offering services to individuals, you will see they are governed under the Information Technology Act, you see they are governed under the intermediary laws. So the intermediary law also further bifurcates into the kind of compliances they need to have in place for that. But the question of artificial intelligence per se does not arise. Now, why is it that, first of all, this should be a separate subject? The first point out here that I would like to point out is, see, artificial intelligence is a code wherein, let's say you're putting, if ABC situation happens, B is the answer, and that is what should be triggered. If XYZ situation is seen, then F is the answer, and that is what should be triggered. Now, what happens if the program goes rogue or the program does not operate properly? Now, many of you are aware, even when Facebook had developed AI and multiple other international organizations tried to develop AI tools, there were certain stages where the tools were out of some level of understanding or control of the programmers also. So these kind of situations do arise, and having a law to regulate it becomes very, very crucial. Now, let's not get into the situation where, let's say, the AI is not in the control of an individual, like where, okay, it's communicating of its own, etc. We keep those situations aside. Let's come to the situation where the AI is programmed and yet an error happens. So I'll give you one example. There was a case wherein all of you would be seeing football matches, right? So there was a case in the United States several years back wherein you know, there's something called the concept of brand ambassador. So the moment an individual, you know, who is a brand ambassador of a particular product is endorsing any particular team, and if that team hits a goal, then the product endorsements of that individual via AI mechanism, they start, you know, flashing on the field all around. So whether they may be the billboards of the field or people watching on television will be able to see it as if, you know, those are kind of imagery on the grass, when, you know, all of this is done through a tech mechanism. Now, several years back, what ended up happening is there was one of well-noted Hollywood stars who was, you know, known for basically being a diabetic, and he had severe issues with respect to sugar. So in that situation, like, you know, he was known to be a person who was sugar conscious, he was known to be a diabetic and all of that. What ended up happening in this is that when there was a goal that was hit, there were billboards and advertisements with his image and the image of candies. So this was all over the entire, you could say, stadium. And what ended up happening post that is that there was a lady who filed a litigation against him, stating that she consumed those sweets, presuming it to be diabetic friendly, because he is primarily a promoter of diabetic goods and he himself suffers from diabetes and is a very sugar conscious person. And that led her to fall severely sick. Now this entirely went back to the situation that, you know, where when he was sued for actually endorsing such a chocolate or a product, which he never really ever endorsed in the first place. Now, how did this goof up exactly happen? It was a goof up of the AI. So primarily what ended up happening was there was a particular footballer who was to endorse that particular chocolate or the particular candy product. But because of a goof up in the AI, in the coding at some point of time, to which nobody had an answer why, this Hollywood star's image came. Instead, his image was to be associated with some biscuits, but the image came up with the candies and was all over the stadium and the billboards. So over here, this was a major question that came up before the US courts also, that whom do we hold responsible now? Now, if you consider the position of international law, as was even decided in this case, it was considered that the programmer is responsible. So if there is an error of coding that can be proved, then in such a situation, it is going to be the programmer who is going to be held liable, or the organization which owns the program. So let's say there is a program designer, but he has sold his entire program to an organization and they are further utilizing that program, then they are going to be responsible and liable for any kind of errors that happen of the artificial intelligence that is being used with respect to the application. Now, this is the position in international law. In Indian law, as of now, there isn't any clarity about AI, and AI deployments have only started in the last 3 to 4 years. So machine learning and AI are very new concepts comparatively in India. A lot of banking sector has already started implementing AI, but it's in a very, very nascent stage right now. So definitely in the coming years, we would also see concrete laws in India coming up with respect to this. But till then, it's the international law that also forms a part of valid jurisprudence for India and is quoted in multiple litigations and cases. So that forms the basis to determine what would be legal liability. So in simple words, that's what the current scenario with respect to this is. Now, when you come to the second part of the discussion, where we were talking about artificial intelligence being deployed, and let's not talk about it only from a legal liability perspective. So if you are aware, in the GDPR, that's the EU GDPR, there is a mandate that an individual cannot be subjected to artificial intelligence without his explicit consent. Which means if any organization, let's say today Amazon is deploying AI tools to kind of enhance your user experience also, if you do not consent to the same, they cannot deploy it for you. But there is one more point you need to understand in the EU GDPR, wherein it is also explicitly mentioned that a consumer refusing to be subject to AI cannot be refused the product or the service on that basis. Which means every organization will have to have non-AI alternative services and products available for users. So that is exactly how the entire model has to ideally be. Now, how many organizations have actually developed that? That's a big question. So in India, if you see, a lot of banks are deploying AI right now, and in the data protection bill, which is proposed to become a law very soon, maybe this year itself it will be enacted. In our data protection law, also we have a similar clause, because the data protection law is kind of an offshoot of the EU GDPR. It's based loosely on the same directives, almost 50–60% of similarity is there. So in this situation, you can understand that under the data protection bill also, it is very, very clearly outlined that in the situation that an individual refuses to be subjected to AI for, let's say, any form of tracking, any form of marketing, sales, or let's say even if I say you're providing me a banking service, but I do not want to be subject to AI. The bank cannot refuse to provide me the service and will still have to provide me the same and will have to take valid consent from me. So in such a situation, I think a lot of organizations that are doing investments in AI will still not be able to replace the human mind. So one of the biggest debates that always happens is, will AI replace human beings? The point is the legal framework, whether it may be with respect to data protection, the GDPR is such that it's difficult to replace a human mind in any way, especially because a large population of individuals will also always insist on having the human touch. So if I refuse to consent that I don't want banking by AI, I want a physical banking, this cannot be refused to me at all. So that is what currently is the legal framework and status in this space, and I would like to keep the floor open for questions. Anybody in the audience who has further questions would be glad to answer.
Thank you so very much, ma'am, for your valuable time and insights on the topic. Now we open the Q&A sessions. So ma'am, the first question we have here is, like, cybersecurity is a major issue today, because once artificial intelligence has access to the internet to learn, it becomes prone to hacker attacks. How do you suggest we will curb with such issues?
Well, there is nothing called 100% security. So even if you deploy cybersecurity, you can be 1000% sure. If you know the JP Morgan case, they had hundreds of crores worth of security, and despite that, they could be hacked. So just deploying security does not mean that you are going to be secure. You actually need to have a lot of checks and balances on your security. You need to ensure that it is updated at every single point of time. You need to also have checks and balances on the human beings which are running the security behind it. So your employees and the human beings which are actually utilizing and running these tools for you, you need to have a strong check on that and ensure that they understand the implication of data loss or cybersecurity losses or cyber risks also. For a matter of fact, there are organizations, they deploy the best of cybersecurity tools, but the employees really don't understand cyber risk at all. They will, I myself have seen it. I myself have seen it in an organization where I was there for recording for a TV show, and I was just, we were waiting to enter into the recording room, and I just saw a couple of employees sitting outside, and from such an organization where there is a high level of cybersecurity in that particular news channel. But the two employees were, they were logging into some e-commerce site, and they were looking at shopping options. Now, what tells you that these sites are secure? What tells you that what you're opening in these sites cannot actually end up infecting the systems of the entire organization? So we somehow seem to believe that if we open some attachments in an email, you are going to corrupt the system. But what about your cell phone, which is attached and connecting to the Wi-Fi in your workspaces, and you are opening WhatsApp messages, you are opening images, links, you're opening anything and everything with that without a second thought as to whether or not it is genuinely safe.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for the answer. The next question we have here is, that is artificial intelligence beneficial and completely reliable for cybersecurity or not?
Well, there's nothing that can replace a human mind, as I told you. If you're talking about 100% reliability, it is very, very difficult to achieve that. So if today the tools are not giving you 100% reliability, even artificial intelligence is not going to give you that. So there is Watson, if you're aware, Watson is one of the best systems which works on AI. Which is meant for security only, and it is like a you could say active level of security. It constantly keeps a check on your perimeter network. It keeps a check on what are the incoming traffic that is there, what kind of things are happening in your network. But it's highly expensive. The accuracy of Watson is supposed to be really good. I wouldn't say 100%, but the accuracy of Watson is very good. And in Mumbai, it is only deployed at the Bombay Stock Exchange. It's a very, very expensive program, and yes, it operates on AI.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am, for that answer. The next question, ma'am, we have here is that what practical artificial intelligence applications should lawyers be watching out for?
I think lawyers should stay away from these applications. End of the day, none of these applications would be able to really guide you and enable you to apply your mind well. I understand there are a lot of AI products coming for advocates, but understand one thing: advocacy, medicine, these are all professions of skill. You need to sometimes, how is AI going to answer your question? Yes, it may find a judicial precedent somewhere, etc. But there are already tools available for that. You will still have to read the judgment. You will still have to apply your mind. So AI is nowhere an answer where you are talking about professions which are actually about individual skill, which is about over years of experience, the skill that you build out.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now with this, we come to end of our question and answer session. Thank you for throwing lights on those questions and giving us the answers. I now, ma'am, request Advocate Puneet Bhasin to declare the results, ma'am.
First of all, congratulations to all the participants who have participated in this. It takes a lot to participate, and yes, in life, winning and losing is a part of the game. I'd like to, before declaring the result, want to share with you, in the first moot court competition that I had participated in my college, I did not win. And one of the most important lessons that my professor at that time, I felt very, very dejected, and he taught me this, that the most important thing is to learn how to lose. So he said the day you learn how to lose, that is very, very crucial, and you will easily learn how to win after that. So congratulations to all the participants who are open to, taking the chance of even losing, because believe me, every loss that you have is going to end up teaching you a lot more. So what, as it was Professor Daswani of Government Law College. who had, because I had studied out there, he, very interestingly, he explained to me that today in college, when you learn how to lose and win in a very graceful manner, in the legal profession thereafter, there are going to be every single day cases. Some case you will win, some case you will lose. And you will learn to handle both of them with grace. So that is why wishing all of you the very best for that. And coming to the results, the first position is team number 328, Department of Law, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Congratulations. The runners-up is team 320, which is National Law Institute, University, Bhopal. The second runners-up is team 316, Tamil Nadu Dr. Ambedkar Law University, School of Excellence in Law, Chennai. Congratulating all the participants and along with that, all the winners. So for the winners, handle your win with grace, and for those who have not won, it's perfectly fine. Handle this also with grace, and there are multiple opportunities in the legal profession where there are ups and downs, winning and losing that comes.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Now I request you to kindly stay for a picture.
Pardon, I can't hear you.
Thank you very much. I request you to kindly stay for a picture.
Sure.
I'll be taking the picture now. If ma'am and Shreyash, both of you could smile, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hi, inquiry. So sorry, I interrupted in between. The winning team is 328 from the Punjab University. Am I right?
Pardon?
The winning team is the 328, number 328.
Punjab University, Chandigarh.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would request Mr. Athar Lama to give the vote of thanks.
On behalf of the Moot Court Society of Pravin Gandhi College of Law, I, Athar Lama, would like to extend my gratitude towards Advocate Lubna Yusuf, Mr. Pinaki Laskar, and Advocate Puneet Bhasin for sparing their precious time and enlightening us with their exemplary knowledge. It was indeed an enriching and invigorating session that gave us grassroots level understanding of not only the theoretical but also the practical overview of artificial regulation. We are truly indebted to all our panelists for sharing their valuable insights and enriching us with their deep knowledge about the usage of AI. I would also like to thank our principal, Dr. 𝗏𝗃𝗃 and our institution, SVKM Pravin Gandhi College of Law, for providing us with an opportunity to undertake such events and always encouraging us. Most of all, I'd like to thank our faculty in charge, Dr. 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃, for persistently guiding us. I cannot thank everyone, including our participants, enough for their dedication, inquisitiveness, and enthusiasm they have shown, contributing towards conducting this symposium. Congratulations to all the winners and participants for making this event a great success. I would now request all the winners and panelists to switch their cameras on for a picture.
I'll take the picture now. Thank you.